This video is sponsored by Bespoke Post, a monthly membership club delivering awesome boxes of top-shelf goods from under-the-radar brands. It's free to join and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Every month, Bespoke Post introduces its members to cool new products, outdoor gear, barware, home and kitchen goods, clothing, and more. Even live oysters! Based on a preference quiz you fill out. Every box has around $70 worth of goods inside, but costs you only a fraction of the value. Preview your box before it's shipped out. You'll get a box assigned to you, and before it's shipped, you'll get a preview of what comes inside to decide if you'd like to 1. Keep it, 2. Swap it for a different box, or 3. Skip the month entirely for no charge. You only pay for what you want. Bespoke Post sent me over some goodies. Let's check this out. First, I got the Waft box, which is an aroma-based set. Comes with an incense variety pack from Nosebleed, if you're into burning incense like I am. Some scent cards here. They don't smell cheap. They smell really subtle, but very pleasant. I'll put one in my car. Look at this beefy candle called Unbothered. They even give you some nice sturdy matches and a concrete holder for them. I wish you could smell this. It's hard for me to describe. It's a very handsome smell. It's very fresh and clean. Honestly, it smells like an alternate world where I'm rich and I live in a luxury condo. Got another box, and look at this. This is my kind of watch. It's a Bretta with a brown band and a rectangular face, and it is just so classy. In fact, a lot of the items on Bespoke Post have that mix of classiness and practicality. Came with this handy task organizer as well. Real talk, this is a great site if you're getting a gift for someone who's hard to get a gift for, like my dad. To get 20% off of your first box, click the link in the description and enter Monster20 at checkout, or go to bespokepost.com/monster20. Thank you, Bespoke Post, for supporting the channel. In 1981, video game publisher Epix released a game called Crush, Crumble, and Chomp on Atari, Apple II, and TRS-80, with ports later coming to VIC-20 and Commodore 64. There's no Oxford comma in that title, so it's not Crush, Crumble, and Chomp. Technically, it's Crush, Crumble, and Chomp. It was a comedic game where you can choose from 6 different monster types, each with their own abilities and attributes, and destroy major cities. Like here, I'm supposed to be this giant robot. And yeah, this game came out 5 years before the very first Rampage game. You can also choose between 5 objectives and 4 major cities. City maps are big! And as you've no doubt noticed, one of the monsters is a Godzilla parody named Godzilla. And again, for perspective, we are 3 years before the real Godzilla would officially debut in any type of video game. Godzilla came first! I actually find the Godzilla sprite to look a lot like Gorosaurus, but wait until you see the game over screen. All things must pass, O noble monster, and so now must you. Sometimes this game has a subtitle, and it's Crush, Crumble, and Chomp, the movie monster game. And 5 years later, in 1986, Epix would release a spiritual successor simply known as the movie monster game. But no Godzilla this time, because wouldn't you know it, the crazy bastards licensed the true Godzilla. And right away, you're going to notice a tremendous improvement in graphics, and controls have been simplified. Like the previous game, you can choose between monsters, cities, and game modes. Godzilla is the only licensed character, but we sure have some fun knockoffs in here. Most famous is Mr. Meringue, a parody of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters, released 2 years earlier. There's also a giant wasp named Spectra? A blob named Glog, a giant spider named Tarantus, and a robot called Megatron. It's anyone's guess if there were any plans to license more official characters beyond Godzilla. I honestly don't know, but I do know that Godzilla is front and center in this game. It should have been called Godzilla and the Other Movie Monsters or something. So this game really goes all in on the movie theater motif. The menu looks like a theater marquee, and when you make your selection, you join the audience as the theater curtain rises. This is pretty clever. It's got some ads, and for the special sneak previews, it's showing real Epix games. I'm playing the Commodore 64 emulation, but in the Apple II version, there's also an ad for Godzilla mouthwash. Who would have guessed that decades later, this would sort of come true? Then the story begins with some titles, usually explaining the origin of the monster and the goal of the game you're about to play. When the game is over, you return to this theater room with the text explaining what happened, and then end credits start to roll. The locations you can visit in this game are San Francisco, Tokyo, Paris, London, New York, and Moscow. Let's play with Godzilla on Berserk mode. In this mode, the goal is to destroy as much stuff as possible. And Godzilla looks good. It's a good sprite. Although I find the head bobbing very annoying. Why is he bobbing his head like that? Is Post Malone's Happier song stuck in his head too? By the way, Godzilla doesn't roar in this game. He screams. When you scream, it usually makes people in vehicles stop in their tracks. Do you want to hear Godzilla scream? Yeah, it sounds like somebody farting into a harmonica. It also says Godzilla can breathe fire, and thousands of pedantic Godzilla nerds just had a heart attack. Sorry it doesn't say atomic breath, virgin. Last, you can atomize, which is basically an attack on flying vehicles like helicopters. These are Godzilla's commands, and different monsters have different defenses and attacks. The map feels endless, and giant monsters are slow walkers, so trying to make it somewhere specific feels like a drag. Excuse me, coming through. Excuse me, sorry, beg your pardon. You have an endurance meter which serves as your health bar. Watch what happens when it runs out. That was the most dramatic Godzilla death animation I've ever seen. Oh, you got me! And look at the epilogue. There's a thunderous boom as tons of dinosaur meat crash onto the street? So picture the end of Ghostbusters, but instead of pure marshmallow, it's radioactive chunks of meat and blood. That's basically the game. You mix and match monsters, locations, and game modes. Like, you can have Godzilla in New York destroying a land... Oh no. Let's try Destroy Landmark mode as Mr. Meringue. Some say he was cooked up in a bakery near Chernobyl. That's nuts. This game was released the same year Chernobyl exploded. Mr. Meringue spits goo. As you can see, a second proximity meter has been added, so now you can kind of use that to play hot and cold with the landmark you're supposed to destroy. Oh, didn't make it. Never send a marshmallow to do a Glog's job. This game came out in 1986, and just 2 years later, we'd get the Blob remake. And that messed me up as a kid. Glog can't fire any projectiles or anything, but at least he made it to the Statue of Liberty I'm supposed to destroy. If you play the search game mode, like I'm gonna do with Megatron here, your mission is to find your offspring. Megatron might make you think of Transformers, but his origin story rides a little closer to Gundam suits, believe it or not. He's also got the longest story. Geez, someone here's trying to use this game to pitch their screenplay. Gotta say, Megatron is my least favorite looking of the bunch, but at least he can fire a laser. When you play this mode as Godzilla, there's no mention of the offspring being Manila or anything. It's just a generic, smaller Godzilla. Spectra looks like a flying dildo. This is escape mode now, where you have to escape the city before dying. Hey, the Wasp can lift up and fly over the city. Maybe I could just fly out of here. Nope. The last mode is Lunch mode, which we'll play as Tarantus in Moscow. In this mode, you have to eat things until your hunger meter is depleted. The Tarantus walking animation is very well done. He can spit a web, but it kind of just dribbles out all sad, like when I pee. I need to point out that a lot of the game's humor is in the writing, both in-game and in the instruction manual. And I like its satirical tone. Here's where you'll also find references to other famous movie monsters, including Rodan and Ghidra the three-headed monster. Playing the movie monster game is pretty fun, but I can't say it's like lasting fun. I don't see anyone playing this for hours and hours. It's a shame it doesn't have a multiplayer mode, which was a criticism it got when it actually came out. Still, it's a game worth checking out for Godzilla fans or fans of big monster movies in general. 3 stars! The game looks good. It functions as it should. It has nice touches, like how the monsters lower when they're walking in the water. And any game where you can make Godzilla moonwalk can't be that bad. The Movie Monster game was the last of those first Godzilla games on early systems like Commodore 64, Apple II, MSX, FM7, R2-D2, that stuff. The next Godzilla game would come 3 years later in 1989, and it would be Monster of Monsters on the NES, ushering in a new era of Godzilla video games. But let me know what you think of the Movie Monster game. Is it time for the return?